vanishing of Indigenous women still continues today. It still continues for Indigenous girls and Indigenous Two-Spirit peoples. It's still a painful reality for the families and communities waiting for closure. And this is the legacy of colonialism. Because colonialism is not an event, but rather it's a structure. My name's Kirby Bennett. I'm a member of the Navajo Nation. Been a Durango resident for almost 8 years so far. I grew up in Shiprock, New Mexico for most of my life. I grew up mainly raised by my mom. I would often spend time with a lot of my grandparents, my aunts and uncles. There's other fond memories I have are like having tea with my great-grandma at her house. And yeah, she was always doing a crossword puzzle. Writing has always been something I've always enjoyed doing, and over time I recognized the power of writing. You know, the power of holding a pen and the power of bearing witness, and that eventually just led into a deep appreciation for journalism, because you need those people on the ground giving voice to the voiceless and holding power accountable. And so over time, like, that kind of became what I see as my calling, like, to use writing and journalism to help shape a better world.
When we come back, a look at indigenous creatures taking Hollywood.
Here in this region, overall, we're in such a news desert, but I think there's still so much more that could be done with reporting on Indigenous issues, and it's long overdue that attention and resources should be devoted to that. Like looking at how the press was covering these communities back then, and the way it was being framed, and how they were being portrayed by a predominantly white media. At the start of this year, 2022, my friend and coworker, Jamie, we were both working together at Maria's Bookshop. Earlier this year, there was that, with the Westside Mobile Home Park community, they formed a co-op to fight back against this corporate buyout of their park, and we were just kind of watching that unfold. There's a really strong story here. We should do something, and we started learning more about these older communities in Durango that were black and brown communities along the river, and they were displaced, and those communities were just turned into parks. And it was eye-opening to just learn more about those aspects of Durango's history. You hear about how vibrant and self-sufficient these communities were. There were gardens and orchards. We encountered people who grew up in these neighborhoods who they're just excited to share these stories. Over the summer, the city announced the largest tax fund for arts and culture, so we just sat down and learned how to do grant writing and submitted an application. So we were just totally transparent about what the project was, that we were confronting Durango, the legacy of displacement in Durango's history, especially toward the black and brown communities. It's called the Whole Histories Project. That's kind of like the umbrella name for this thing, and it's a history and storytelling initiative. The amount we got approved for allowed us to just work on this full time as independent journalists and researchers. It was really like a dream come true. I have a lot of ambitious ideas for this project. Ideally, in the long term, we'd like to build this into some kind of independent media center. We also have ideas for getting this into the curriculum of local schools and getting kids involved, getting the youth involved, getting student journalists involved. Who knows what this could grow into? We're ready for it.